All right, everyone, get ready for today's deep dive
Right.
because we're taking a look at artesian aquifers.
Oh, an interesting choice.
Yeah, and it's particularly relevant for those of you prepping for the UPSC exams.
Absolutely. It touches on geography, geology,
Yeah.
and even current events.
Yeah, and a great example of this is that crazy video that went viral a little while back.
Oh, you mean the one from Jaisalmer, Rajasthan?
Yes, where that tube will suddenly turn into a geyser.
Yeah, flooded those fields, a truck got stuck.
It was wild. Some people even tried to say it was proof of the mythical Saraswati River, but
Right.
we're going to leave the mythology behind
Yeah.
and stick to the science.
Exactly, the real explanation.
So, to start us off, can you take us back to Taranagar and describe what happened?
Okay, so picture this. You're a farmer in Taranagar, and you want to dig a tube well.
Hoping to find some water.
Exactly, so you start drilling deeper and deeper.
How deep are we talking?
They went down 850 feet.
Wow.
That's really deep for a tube well. And then, bam, water bursts out with incredible force, enough to trap the drilling equipment
No way.
and a truck that was nearby.
850 feet down. That's like deeper than some oil wells.
It is pretty incredible.
So what happened next? Did they contain it?
Well, it took a while. The force of the water was so strong, it ended up flooding like 25 bias of land.
That's huge.
Yeah, about the size of 5 football fields.
Wow. So not just a little leak then.
Oh, no, this was a major gusher.
Okay. And to make things even more interesting,
Oh, yes.
there were also reports of some kind of gas being released along with the water.
That's right. A non-flammable gas added a bit of mystery to the whole thing.
Okay, so lots to unpack here.
Yeah.
Geologists are calling this an artesian condition. So can you break down what that actually means?
So an artesian aquifer, and I'll borrow the USGS definition here, is water that's stored under pressure between layers of rock or sediment that water can't pass through.
So like trapped water.
Exactly. Imagine a layer cake with the water stuck between those layers.
I'm getting hungry now, but okay. Layer cake of water and rock.
Right. And all that weight from the water and the rock above creates a ton of pressure.
So when they drilled down those 850 feet in Taranagar,
They basically poked a hole in that pressurized system.
and all that water had to go somewhere.
Exactly, hence the massive geyser.
So that's what makes these artesian wells so unique.
In a way, yeah. The
Yeah.
water flowed to the surface on its own because of all that pressure. No need for a pump.
That's fascinating. But here's something I've always wondered. Why are these pressurized aquifers found in deserts?
Right, you'd think a desert would be the last place you'd find so much water.
Exactly.
Well, it might seem counterintuitive, but when it does rain in the desert, that water can seep deep down into the ground
Okay.
and get trapped beneath those impermeable layers, often sandstone,
Trapped for how long?
for a very long time. Could be centuries, even millennia.
And as that trapped water builds up,
The pressure increases, and you get the potential for an artesian well, like what we saw in Taranagar.
so it's kind of like a hidden oasis under the desert.
In a way, yeah.
And I'm guessing this isn't only happening in Rajasthan, right?
Definitely not. This phenomenon has been seen in deserts all over the world. Australia, Africa, you name it.
Really?
Yeah. It really shows how powerful these geological processes are and how interconnected our planet is.
This is incredible, and I can already see how this relates to so many different topics in the UPSC syllabus, from geology to water management.
Oh, absolutely. And even disaster preparedness.
Right, you've got that sudden flood to think about, too.
Exactly. And it's all happening right here in India.
A perfect real-world example.
Exactly. The kind of thing UPSC examiners love to ask about.
So UPSC aspirants, pay attention. This Taranagar incident is a goldmine for your exams.
Absolutely.
We've covered the basics of artesian aquifers,
Their formation.
especially in deserts.
Right.
But we're just getting started.
Yeah, there's a lot more to explore.
So we're back and ready to dig deeper into these artesian aquifers.
Yeah, and I think what's particularly interesting is their potential.
Right, especially in a place like Rajasthan.
Absolutely. A region that's always struggling with water scarcity.
Exactly. But obviously, we can't just start pumping out all this water without considering the consequences.
Oh, of course not.
Responsible management is crucial.
Right.
So let's get to the challenges. What are some of the things we need to be thinking about, especially for the UPSC folks out there?
Okay, well, first off, we need to remember that this water has been trapped for a really long time.
Like, how long are we talking?
Hundreds, maybe even thousands of years.
And it's not like a regular well that refills quickly.
Exactly. These aquifers recharge very slowly, especially in a dry place like a desert.
So if we take out too much water,
We risk depleting the aquifer, which could have serious consequences.
like what?
Well, the land could start sinking.
Sentence, right?
Yeah, and the flow of rivers and streams could be reduced.
And even saltwater intrusion in coastal areas.
Exactly. So sustainable management is key.
Okay, so what else do we need to keep in mind?
Water quality is another big one.
Right, because it's been isolated for so long.
Yes, those impermeable layers that trap the water also protect it from contamination from the surface.
But if we're not careful when drilling,
You could introduce pollutants, which would make the water unusable.
that's a good point, something UPSC examiners might ask about.
Definitely.
So if we were in charge, how would we make sure we're using these aquifers sustainably?
That's the big question, and there's no easy answer.
I imagine.
But I think the first step would be to do thorough surveys, understand the aquifer system, how big it is, how deep, how quickly it recharges.
So basically gather all the data before making any decisions.
Exactly. Data-driven decision-making is crucial.
Makes sense. What else?
Well, we'd need to put regulations in place, limits on how much water can be extracted, water quality standards, and constant monitoring to catch any problems early on.
So being proactive, not reactive.
Exactly.
And of course, we can't forget about the people.
Absolutely. Any policy decisions need to consider everyone involved, local communities, farmers, industries.
And the environment.
Of course.
This is where the UPSC syllabus really comes to life.
It does. It's not just about understanding the science, but also the social, economic, and ethical aspects.
And the Taranagar incident is a perfect case study for all of this.
It really is a great example of how all these different topics are interconnected.
A gold mine for UPSC aspirants.
Absolutely.
So it's not just about the geology, it's about water management, sustainability, even disaster preparedness.
And remember, these Artesian phenomena aren't unique to India.
Right, we talked about that.
So understanding what happened in Rajasthan can give you insights into similar situations around the world.
Expanding our perspective, which is important for the UPSC exam.
Definitely.
Okay, before we move on, I want to go back to the Taranagar incident for a second.
Sure.
We know there was that initial geyser, but what happened after? Did the water just keep flowing?
Actually, from what I've read, the flow subsided after a few days. Natural. Yeah. Seems like the pressure release kind of took care of itself.
At least in the short term.
Right, but it definitely raises questions about long-term monitoring and what might happen in the future.
So it sounds like nature kind of stepped in and handled things this time.
Yeah, at least for now.
But this whole thing must have implications for the future, right? I mean, did this geyser lead to any more research in the area?
Well, it's still pretty early, but I'm sure this incident got the attention of geologists and hydrologists.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised if they're doing more studies now.
To like map the whole aquifer system.
Exactly, and see what the long-term potential is.
This could change how we think about water resources,
Oh, definitely.
especially in drier areas.
Yeah. Who knows what other hidden aquifers are out there?
That's a good point. It's exciting to think about.
It is. Every discovery leads to new questions.
And for our UPSC folks listening,
This is a great example of why staying updated on current events is so important.
even something that seems like a local news story.
Right, because it can connect to these bigger themes.
And those themes are what the UPSC exam is all about.
Exactly.
So let's bring it all back to the exam. What are the key takeaways here?
Okay, so first of all, you need to really understand artesian aquifers.
The definition, how they form,
Right, all of that, especially in deserts.
geography and geology sections, right?
Exactly.
Okay, what else?
Well, the Taranagar incident shows how these different topics are all connected.
Water management, sustainability, disaster preparedness.
Yeah, it's all linked.
So we can't just study things in isolation.
Nope, got to think about the big picture, how it all fits together.
Good advice for the UPSC. Anything else?
Don't forget about case studies.
Like this one,
Exactly, the Taranagar incident is a perfect example you can use in your answers.
to show you understand the issues.
Yeah, real-world examples make your answers stronger.
Great point. So everyone, remember, this wasn't just a geyser in the desert.
Right.
It was a lesson about how everything is connected.
From natural phenomena to resource management to sustainable development.
And it's a topic you might see on your UPSC exam, so make sure you know it well.
Definitely. And as you study, keep exploring, keep asking questions.
Keep connecting those dots.
That's what it's all about.
Well, we hope you enjoyed this deep dive into artesian aquifers.
Yeah, we had fun.
And don't forget to subscribe and like the video for more deep dives.
We'll be back with more fascinating topics.
Until then, keep learning and keep those minds sharp.